The average man trying to get super fit does not need to count calories or probably ever bulk. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today, but a quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below, it'd be greatly appreciated. If you're not subscribed or following, please do so. And if you'll be kind enough to drop me a comment down below, I would also greatly appreciate that. Let's get over to the topic. We talk so much about bulking. We talk so much about cutting. We talk so much about, oh, can we do a really, really small bulk? Can we recomp? Can we do all these things, right? These are the questions that we ask. And I think what we're missing when it comes to the average novice person, right? The average novice guy who is fairly new to fitness, and it's particularly true for men. This may not always hold true for women. Because they may not want to get to a certain level of leanness, again, just due to hormonal reasons to the same degree. But for men, what I want people to think about, the average man is already overweight, okay? Average American, average Western male has too much body fat. They're not walking around with a six-pack. All right, and I'm not talking about the really skinny hard gainer kid. We're talking about the average man, right? The average man in America is like already 185 to 200 pounds at an average height, okay? To be there lean, they're looking at 12 to 15 years under a barbell, possibly, depending on how lean, possibly even needing anabolic drugs. To be, again, average height guy to be 10% body fat at 200, even after 10 years under a heavy barbell, they're still not going to be there without using a little something. So let's step back and think about that for a minute. So if that's the case, and we know that recomposition is possible, and we need to be clear on that. We need to be absolutely clear. Novices can gain muscle while cutting, okay? Right? Novices gain muscle while cutting. So if you take any of these guys who are fluffy, all these guys who are 18, 20% or more, and they never bother to track calories, they're going to be okay. All they absolutely have to do is follow good programming. As long as they're training hard, they're training most of their body. They don't even have to be on an amazing program, just a good program. And as long as everything is getting trained, they do have some leg work, some squats and stuff in there, okay? And they eat a clean diet of whole foods, right? And, you know, they don't cheat often. I would say, God, they could have a cheat meal once a week and still continue to lose fat. For most of these guys, though, really if they just cut out the saturated fat, cut out all the liquid calories, cut out the refined sugar, they're going to start losing weight. They're going to start losing body fat if they're going to the gym. Okay, so this is the point I'm going to make. And I've watched many guys, because I've seen guys who've gotten in phenomenal shape, like, I really never track anything. I just eat clean, or they just eat, you know, whatever. They're just like, I eat a chicken and rice bodybuilder-ish type diet, not all the time. Most of the time, or they'll eat a steak and avocado and egg type diet. They'll follow something that is some form of either a lower carb, lots of protein and then fats and vegetables, or it'll be, again, a little fat, a little more moderated, plenty of healthy starchy carbs, plenty of protein, plenty of vegetables. If you eat like that, you're generally going to get leaner over time. And as they gain muscle, their metabolic rate's going to go up. So usually what happens for these sort of guys, because they don't have a time frame, they're just like, I just want to look better every 6 months. I just want to look better every year. See where I'm about to go with this? If they're starting at 25% body fat and they just start working out and they follow those basic rules and they just don't eat junk, they just cut the garbage out completely, keep the protein high, get plenty of vegetables, what's going to happen? Most of them are going to chip away at body fat over time, okay? They're probably going to lose weight over time. Let's say whatever, they're 190, 185 pounds of 25% body fat. But they start making their noob gains. What's going to happen? They're going to put on 10, 15 pounds of muscle in the first year. They're probably going to recomposition it all. Okay? So what will end up happening is a lot of these guys, they might have been 190 or 200. Man, at the end of the first year, they're down to 185. But they've gained 10 or 15 pounds of muscle. So what does that really mean? That means they probably lost 20, 25 pounds of fat. And this is really what happens. And because you're in that amazing phase. And people forget, if your protein is high, your deficit's not too high, you're not gaining too much muscle, you can gain muscle in a calorie deficit. It's just smaller amounts. But you see where I'm going? What if you have these guys, and because they're just eating cleaner, the first couple years they're just in a small deficit all the time? or the most of the time. Let's say some weeks they hit maintenance, they're just in a deficit, but they're eating clean, so they're going to tend to eat less calories. They're going to have a higher thermic effect, but they're eating enough protein. They're training. What's going to happen? They're just going to get a better and better physique because they're going to keep gaining muscle. Okay, and let's say they've been doing this a little while and they get to the third year and they're only gaining 4 or 5 pounds of muscle, but they're not in a surplus. But they're gaining 3, 4, 5 pounds of muscle that year and the next year because they're just lifting. They're coming in following some basic progressive overload. What's going to happen? Especially if they're doing a bit of cardio, they're going to keep chipping away at the body fat. Because if they have it to where they're like, I'm losing a pound here or there, because that is literally what will happen if you go from that American lifestyle. Like if they're eating a normal American diet and they're only 190 to 200, see where I'm going? They don't have a crazy appetite. They're moderating it decently well, all things considered. So they just cut the junk out. They literally just cut the junk out. They're going to end up being in a small deficit. And they'll be there. They'll be largely in a deficit probably for several years. They're eventually just going to get leaner. They're eventually going to have visible abs without ever really trying. Okay? And so what if they do get lean enough to have visible abs? Do they really need to count? No, they've kind of learned how to manage their food. And I want to be clear, I have literally watched many guys over the years who are in better shape than the guys who really worry about this stuff because they just eat clean. It's where people get messed up is when they overbulk. They get too fat because they're like, oh, I want to get huge. And it's just like, if you just want a good physique and you just stop worrying about, hey, let's just get huge, let's just get a good physique. Because I'm sorry, guys, when you start saying I want to get huge and you're not, going to the dark side, that's not going to happen. So there's no need for all the bulking. So if guys are just like, I just want to be really fit, I want a good physique, what's going to end up happening? They're going to get leaner. If they just follow just a clean bro type diet, any type of normal, traditional, clean eating approach, my guy doesn't even have to be the stuff I approve of. It could literally be, a steak-based keto diet as long as they're eating vegetables and they're eating fiber and all those things they need. They're still going to just chip away at their body fat. If the protein's high, the training is good, they're going to gain muscle every year. They're going to lose a little fat every year. So what's going to happen? They're just going to have a better and better physique. They don't actually have to track. The people who have to track is the really skinny novice. Okay, I get that. The really morbid, but does the really morbidly obese person have to track? I'm going to tell you right now, you take someone who's 300 pounds and you have them start walking and resistance training, and you're like, dude, I want you to eat a lot of chicken and rice and eat vegetables and just avoid the junk. Are they not going to get eventually down to 200 pounds? Yeah. Are they going to have to count calories? It is impossible for an active person who's up walking and doing cardio and lifting weights, who eats a clean, truly, legitimately clean diet. They're not going to stay 300 pounds. It is not going to happen. It is biologically impossible. They're going to lose 50 or 100 pounds without tracking anything. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative. I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.